This is the stereo harmonic chorus. This is a multiband effect that separates the signal into a lower band and an upper band, and then applies chorusing to the upper band. You can actually turn up the feedback so much that it can act like a flanger too. This is a pretty practical effect in the sense that you don't really want to add any kind of unnecessary width to the low end, so this helps you do that. But the way I like to use it is as kind of like a frequency dependent chorus to make things wider as they get higher in pitch. So let me kind of show you how to do that while I walk through the parameters. First up, let me just explore the bands themselves. They're super gentle. Let me go to the, let me turn off this oscillator and turn up my noise. Okay, so the first thing you'll notice is that we have a dry and wet signal, even though we're at all the way wet. That's kind of odd, but the reason they do this, I think, was, I mean, I hate to say it, but perhaps a bit of lazy programming, because they wanted to create a bypass, like a permanent bypass for the lower band. So when it's all the way wet, you still kind of have that, you still have the original dry signal in there, versus like the regular chorus effect allows you to only listen to the modulated delay line. But this one, you'll be hearing the modulated delay line with the original signal all the time, no matter what. So in other words, wet is actually 50-50 wet, dry wet. So let's check out the bands. We have noise, and we can change the volume of each band, which effectively lets us isolate them. So if I have just the higher band, and we're only listening to that now, and then I were to turn up the split point, this is the crossover point, then it'll sound kind of like a high pass filter. It seems to be a really gentle slope. It's maybe 6 dB per octave, or perhaps even less. Let's check out what the lower band sounds like. Turn this back up. It's going to sound like a low pass filter now when I sweep the cutoff point. Cool. So let's hear what they sound like together as I sweep the split point. Something to point out here is that with chorusing, you always have a short delay, so it has some time to modulate. So you get this like dip in the high end. At least that's what I think. I haven't tested this out for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's the way it has to work. So it almost sounds like a phaser, and it almost is kind of a phaser. I mean, you are going to get some frequency delay going on at the crossover points. You're going to get some phase shift at the crossover points, I should say. And so it's going to sound a bit like a phaser in that regard. But anyway, let's talk about what I wanted to show you, which is effectively frequency dependent chorusing. I turn down the noise, and I'm going to turn on an oscillator. It kind of sounds like baseball there. So if I play the lowest C that I can, it's all the way down there, and the highest C is up here. I want to make it so I am only adding chorus to the lower band. I'm going to go ahead and turn up some delay. You don't necessarily have to do this. It's just something that I like to do. I'm going to give it some depth as well, so we actually get some chorusing effect. I don't know how much depth I want. Yeah, that's fine. And let's give it some feedback as well, so we get a little bit of some repeats on that delay line. Let's see. I think I like this around like 30, actually, pretty low. Okay, so with these settings now, when I play an upper key, you'll see that we now have stereo width. And the width, of course, came from, I say modulated delay line. What I really mean is that the delay time is being modulated faster and slower by the LFO. and then the depth controls how much that time is being modulated, and then feedback controls just like the regular delay. That delay being going back and forth around 29 milliseconds. It's interesting, with more frequency on the LFO, you do get more intensity on the amount of frequency shift, and I'm not 100% sure why that is. I guess it's because the faster you're changing the time, the faster you're actually changing the pitch of the delay line. So it's actually, I guess, impossible to separate those. But I guess I could make a different video explaining that in further detail. But anyway, we have width now on the upper end. Let's listen to the lower end. You can see that it does appear a lot more stable on the vector scope in comparison to the high end. So now let's sweep a sine wave going between those two notes that I just played. And actually, I think I accidentally changed this to saw. Let's switch it to sine, because that'll be a little bit more illustrative. So you can see how it got wider and wider the higher it went. So I really like that as far as effects go. Starts out nice and mono at the bottom, and then gets wider. We can also choose a different waveform and see how that sounds. So I made a sound with that principle in mind. Just calling it stereo harmonic chorus. And that sounds like this. Oh, let me add a latch onto Karma. You see how it gets wider, the higher it goes, then thinner, the lower it goes. In other words, it's getting more stereo information the higher it goes. I guess I could say out of phase information. I do also like the way it sounds. This sound sounds with overb, though it does add so much stereo information that it kind of defeats the purpose a bit. It's without overb. You really hear the delay line ringing out there because I have the feedback on about 90. But yeah, that's all that I really want to go over. Well, I guess the last little point is that the other chorus effect does allow you to flip the phase of the output. This actually does as well. It's just done in the feedback section. The other chorus unit, the stereo chorus, doesn't have a feedback section, so you can't create something like a flanger, whereas this does, and then you just flip the phase with this control instead of doing it the wet. So thanks for watching. I'll see you whenever I decide to upload a video. Bye.